So we're looking at 1 John chapter 2, verses 9, 10 and 11. And really verse 10 says, "Whoever loves his brother abides in the light, and in him there is no cause for stumbling." So we're looking at what this uh, light is. And we've seen it as the light is the divine nature, as in God is light, and that also the light is God's dwelling place. Well, this means that if we are in the light, then we are partakers, firstly, of the divine nature. Our moral nature becomes the same with that of God, and as God is our dwelling place, as we are in the light, then we see how God sees people and situations. And so as we move on to verse 10, we see the benefits of remaining in brotherly love as our means of our continuing in the light, which therefore means we avoid the risk of stumbling. So firstly then, as we dwell in the light, then as the light gives us that brotherly love, then that brotherly love secures abiding in the light. And why does this happen? Well, as we have seen, this brotherly love that we have, that I have, it is simply a love to the true light, which is God the Father and God the Son. And as I see this light shining in me, I also see it shining in my brother, as he has that love for Christ. And as my brother has that love to the true light, to the Father and to the Son, well, therefore my brother is in that light, which is seen shining. So he's shining in the light as he shines in Christ. And so therefore surely that must cause me to increase more and more into the true light myself. As I see that in my brother and sister, then that would encourage me then to mature into Christ more. And so to help us understand this, let's take for example sympathy. When we're sympathetic to somebody, when we have that understanding for them. So we grow in sympathy for someone if we put ourselves into their shoes, to see what they see, to feel what they feel. But not only do we understand them more, what it then does, it stimulates us and gives us an incentive to think of others more. Well, why is that? Well, if I'm wrapped up in my own self, thinking of my own needs all the time, well, how, and thinking, well, how I can make myself a better person just by thinking about my own self all the time, then that's not good, and will probably become a bitter, warped being, even though our intentions are to make ourselves a better human being, because we're just looking at ourselves all the time. And if we do look at other people, we're just thinking, well, I'm better than them, or something like that, or I wish I was as good as them, or something. But also our relationship with God will suffer, because we're not looking outside. We're just being introvert. We're just looking at ourselves. We're just concentrating on our own, what we're going through. So if we come back to spiritual light and love, then it's really when we have that sympathy with our fellow brothers and sisters, that our own walk with God is enlivened. And we see that so much, don't we? When we hear people's testimonies, those living testimonies of people close to us, those around about us, they're just so great to hear. And it's so easy, isn't it, to forget the power of a first sense of sin from a new believer, and a first sight of Christ from one who's just recently been saved. Because the further we go on from our salvation, or when we first believed and understood, then we can be very easily just we to forget what it was like. We become a bit staid, a bit boring. to see someone just have that first joy, that first love that they have, that dawning that they've got, that they're now a new creation. And when we see that, we realize, well, we're not on our own. That's another good thing about meeting together, isn't it? Especially in larger groups of people. We hear that from our younger ones so much. Oh, I'm not the only one who believes, when they maybe go to a big event somewhere. And what we're seeing when we're looking at our fellow brothers and sisters is that we see that brotherly love is all in all. It's not just about me and my walk with God. It's looking at our fellow brothers and sisters and being encouraged by them, not being threatened by them. I think, oh, I wish I was just as good a Christian as them. Or they're such a good Christian. Look at me, I'm not. That's not what we're to do. We're to be encouraged when we see our fellow brothers and sisters. Just have that light, that love. And this is so important, isn't it? Just to finish off for today. Because when we hear people speaking about their walk with God, our hearts are quickened, aren't they? And I'm thinking about times in my life where I've just heard people speak, and I go, yeah, that's so good, so true. Isn't our Lord great? And you're just dancing. And what it does, it reminds us of our first love, when we were filled with that awe that Jesus died for me, that I was a sinner, but that my sins have been forgiven by the blood of Christ. Because what we don't just want to do is to spectate, to criticize, or just be apathetic to what God is doing in others, because maybe we're just concerned with ourselves, or just thinking more of ourselves, or we compare ourselves to others, and don't do that either. But what we're assuming here, and what John is assuming when he's writing these to, is that where God's work is going on, there our heart is. That it is there as a brother's heart, as a sister's heart, in full brotherly and sisterly sympathy with all who are engaged in it. Because we're in this together. It's a brotherhood of believers, isn't it? We're a family together. And yes, we may come from different backgrounds with different personalities, but we are brothers and sisters in Christ. And we meet together to encourage one another. And so take care, and God bless. And we'll continue this again in the next message.